Dricus Du Plessis versus Khamzat Chimaev at UFC 319. Whew, this one's been rough. I've been trying to pick it apart fight by fight and try to really narrow down who my pick is going to be. And man, it's tough. It's really tough. I feel like this fight is so 50-50 in so many ways that trying to break it down and see where one fighter excels in versus the other, it's hard. It's hard. But I'm gonna try to go over both fighters in this video. I've watched several videos, or several fights I should say, and clips like that. And hopefully I have a good understanding and a good analysis of what may happen in this fight. So this is a pretty hype fight. So some of the fights I kind of analyzed to make this video. I shouldn't say analyze. I guess I watch the fights and try to break it down as much as I can, to kind of pick out things that I see that maybe they'll have a slight edge versus his opponent, but we'll see. But the problem is with Khamzat, man, it's there's not much to go off of. Because the problem is most of his fights end in the first or second round, and it's you don't have much to go off of from that. He can knock out Gerald Mearshart in the first round in 15 seconds, or he could submit Kevin Holland in the first round, or even Robert Whittaker. So really only the two fights I could even go off of for this is Kamaru Usman and the Gilbert Burns fight. I think those are the two main ones you can really look at for this, just because that gives you the only two decision wins Khamzat has. So yeah, there's not much to look at. But for Dricus, there's a lot more. I looked at the Robert Whittaker fight, the two Sean Strickland fights, and the Israel Adesanya fights. Or fight, I should say. I don't think anything before that really holds too much substance. I feel looking at the more recent fights of Dricus can tell a bigger story. But first, let's go over Dricus and what kind of benefits and advantages he's going to have against someone like Khamzat. So, Dricus does a very good job in putting pressure on his opponent and setting the pace of a fight. He can often just throw sporadically and pretty goofy in his exchanges, but it's all to kind of deter his opponent from engaging and kind of making them reset their strikes, especially when someone relies on range and kind of reads to set up a strike. You know what I mean? Even when Dricus is gassed, because I think Dricus has a great gas tank, even when he's fully empty, the guy will still throw out strikes just to not in the hopes of landing. His accuracy is terrible, but he'll just throw strikes out just to kind of push you back. But he knows that, oh shit, I'm gassed, I gotta do something at least, and not just be here waiting for you to strike. So he'll just push the pressure. But I think one of the biggest things that we saw in the most recent fight was him against Sean Strickland. Man, he outstruck Sean Strickland and looked incredible. I thought that was a 50-45, honestly. I watched it back. I could see maybe a 49-46, but when I was watching it, during the event, I was thinking that Sean didn't win a single round. Dricus was just constantly mixing it up and mixing up his targets, going to the body, head, leg kicks, head kicks, spinning back fist. I mean, the dude has so many different strikes in his arsenal, and that's what makes it very interesting for him and can hold actually a pretty big advantage. Dricus doesn't really have great grappling, I'd say. He's very clumsy with it. I think we all know that by now. He kind of just falls into positions. I mean, when he submitted Israel Adesanya, he basically just fell and caught the leg of Izzy. It was a really weird engagement because I thought Izzy was winning that fight. Quite honestly, I thought it was like probably going to be 2-2 going into the fifth, most likely. But something I want to point out actually with that fourth round is Dricus's gas tank started just to diminish completely. He was still throwing strikes like I had mentioned before, like he'll just throw out something. But the biggest thing with that cardio issue that Dricus showed in that fight was the investments of the body that Izzy was making. You know, he was really focusing on body shots. And I think when they showed the numbers, it was like 22-2 or something, or 4 in favor of Izzy. All those body shots really started to add up, and that investment really paid off for Izzy as Dricus's cardio started to just wither, and he really didn't have much to give Izzy in the fourth round. And it seemed like Izzy was actually starting to really find his range and tee off. But Dricus has a really high guard. He'll always default to that. He'll kind of throw strikes. He'll blitz in, throw strikes to counter, or even just throw strikes to throw. And then he'll kind of like jump back into position with that high guard. He keeps it looking like this. So the issue with that guard is not only does that leave your legs wide open for someone like Khamzat to just dive on in and grab your legs and take you down, but also we've seen that someone like Izzy and also obviously Sean Strickland, they can really just break through that guard with a hard jab or like an uppercut. And we saw this a lot from Izzy, and that's something Khamzat does really well, but I won't get too far ahead. Obviously Dricus has a big physicality advantage. I think he's big for the division. I mean, you'll hear Joe Rogan talk about it all the time, like, how does this guy make middleweight? I mean, you'll hear it all the time from him, and I'm sure we'll hear it in Chicago. But it's true, he's a big guy for the division. You can see him like just next to Sean Strickland. He just looks like a much bigger guy, and I think he's gonna look bigger than Khamzat, honestly. Khamzat, I think, has a 1-inch height advantage, but overall, like, I think just size, I think Dricus is gonna look slightly bigger than him. As for Khamzat, so there's a lot of advantage for Khamzat. Like I mentioned, that stiff jab, that hard jab, could really break through the guard of Dricus, and also uppercuts can create an advantage for Khamzat to kind of just, when Dricus is in that high guard, he's just going to throw an uppercut, really batter up the face of Dricus. And we saw that against Gilbert Burns. He did a really excellent job at just, that jab and the uppercuts. And I think, honestly, Khamzat has a pretty underrated stand-up game. I know people talk about his wrestling, which is one of the best in the UFC, if not the best. Obviously, that is a huge advantage for him. I don't think I have to go too in-depth with that, just because we've seen how the fights go. We've seen him, see what he did to Robert Whittaker. I don't think I really have to go into too much depth with that. But with Khamzat, his issue is he gets in these striking engagements where he kind of overthrows himself. Now, like I said, we can go into this fight seeing a new Khamzat, of course, seeing someone who has a different game plan, who is more patient, but I don't think that's really Khamzat's idea of fighting, is to be like patient and like wait for an opportunity. It's more just like, go in and I'm going to take you down, or I'm going to take your head off. So for Khamzat, he gets in these engagements, these striking engagements that leaves him open to counter strikes, like we saw against Gilbert Burns. He overthrew Gilbert Burns, cracked him, and sent him down to the canvas, took a knee, and he was definitely stunned in that. We've seen him stunned and put back to the cage from Kamaru Usman, which Kamaru Usman wasn't really throwing a high volume. So I don't really know what we should go off of that. I mean, considering like Dricus' volume compared to Kamaru Usman's, I mean, Dricus is going to be throwing so many strikes at Khamzat that it's just going to be overwhelming for him. And I guarantee, since Khamzat is so defensively open, it seems. At least from like the fights I've seen. Like Dricus is bound to land several strikes and really batter up the face of Khamzat and, you know, stop him from like setting up anything. So it's going to be hard for Khamzat to avoid getting, you know, the striking on the feet. I think it's going to be an all-out war when it is in the stand-up. I know for Khamzat, he's going to get a takedown. DDP realizes this as well. But I think with DDP's physicality, he's going to avoid the submissions and probably he's going to get controlled. I'm sure he's going to get back up, but in those striking engagements, I think Dricus is going to actually prevail. Now, like I said, Khamzat does have really underrated boxing and stand-up. It was the all-out war against Gilbert Burns. It was a close fight against Kamaru Usman. I think that fight should have been a draw. I think Kamaru Usman won the second round and the third round, but hey, that's just me. But yeah, Khamzat, he is a little worrisome. So with Khamzat, another thing that worries me with him is his cardio. His cardio has looked rough in these fights. And I know people are saying like, oh, dude, he's training with this guy. He's training with, I forget his name, but I guess it's the guy who trained TJ Dillashaw for his title fights. And I'm sure Khamzat's gas tank will definitely last him till like a third round. But we've seen in the past that like his explosiveness is just going to diminish his cardio and his endurance for a 5-round fight. But with Dricus, the dude doesn't stop. The guy does not stop for anybody. I mean, he'll keep on moving forward no matter what happens. Let's try to break down where I see each fighter winning. So Khamzat's path to victory, I think, is to really use that jab effectively and try to batter the face of Dricus when he's in that high guard. Really try to like break the nose, honestly, because that's going to destroy his cardio. And I think if he invests a lot in the head and then mixes up the takedowns rather than just like exerting too much energy and just like, you know, getting the shot, taking him down, controlling him, maybe just mix it all up. You know, go for a takedown, get him taken down, ground and pound strikes. If you can't really control him and it's too, you know, physically demanding, let him back up, work on that jab, avoid the strikes at all costs. I don't think Khamzat's going to do a very good job of it, but I think if he invests in that uppercut and that jab, he's going to really wear down the tank of Dricus, especially when he mixes up the takedowns. Because we know Khamzat has that in his back pocket. I mean, that's like his, I don't know, his front pocket. I don't even know, man. It's his biggest tool in this fight. But I think, honestly, I feel like a lot of people could like imagine this fight being a finish. I could see this going to a decision. I think both fighters could win a decision, even Khamzat. I don't think it's crazy to say that this could go 5 rounds and Khamzat could win 48-47. Now for Dricus, same could be said with the decision. I think I could see a 48-47 for him. It's going to be a very close fight, I believe. But for Dricus, I think the biggest thing is he should work on the body of Khamzat to really break down that cardio and that gas tank of Khamzat to really wear him down early so he can't throw and mix up as many tools as he has, like with the wrestling and the striking, everything. Like really start to invest in that body a lot earlier. Like the first round, if he doesn't get taken down and controlled for the first round, invest in that body as soon as you can. The blitzes of Dricus is going to really counter and throw off Khamzat, I think. And, you know, mixing up the blitz to the head kick, you know, spinning back fist, just things that is going to really confuse Khamzat. I mean, because that's like Dricus in a nutshell. He's a confusing, goofy fighter. But it's really effective. Like, it works really well for him. But I think with Dricus, it's just like defending those takedowns or getting up, scrambling to get up each time you get taken down, and just keep on pushing the pressure. You know, I don't think Dricus is going to be worried about the risk of a takedown, because I believe Dricus has the capabilities of getting back up if he gets taken down. Or actually, I should just say when he gets taken down. So, yeah, I could see, like I said, a decision for Dricus as well. Even a late fight TKO, even. I think for Dricus, I'd lean more towards a TKO than I would Khamzat. I don't know if that's crazy to say, but it's just kind of what I'm feeling. So, with that all said, who the hell's going to win this fight? Now, like I said, this is a very tough fight to break down and a tough fight to really narrow down on who's going to win. Right now, Dricus is sitting at a plus, I think, 160, 170, depending on what you're seeing online. Khamzat is a favorite, but I'm not exactly sure what he's sitting at. I think he's like a minus... Okay, on UFC, he's minus 180. And then Dricus is a plus 150. So, Khamzat's obviously favored. I totally agree with that. I think the opening lines was a lot wider, actually. But I could see why Khamzat is the favorite. But, I don't know. Originally, I was thinking, oh, Khamzat, especially after that Robert Whittaker fight, I was like, dude, Khamzat is going to destroy anybody in this division. But as I thought about it more and more and kind of watched the fights and really try to break it down, I think I'm going to side with DDP. I keep on going back and forth with it. You know, I could see Khamzat getting a decision. I could see Dricus doing this, doing that. But my gut just like tells me DDP. I don't know. It just, there's something about it that thinks he's going to just kind of squeak this one out. It could even be a split decision. I don't know. It could come that damn close. But I hope it doesn't come that close. I mean, if it does, I guess we could be open for a rematch. I'd be down to see that. But, yeah, this fight is going to be pretty sick. But I think my money's going to go on Dricus to get this one done. Let's go by decision. 48-47 for Dricus. Now, we'll see if this ends up being correct. I've had some good predictions in the past with like Khalil and Volk and I'm trying to think else. JDM, Rainer de Ritter. I've had some pretty good predictions in the past, especially when I start to watch film and like really break it down. So let's hope I'm right on this one, because this has been a pain to really narrow down. So let's hope this is it, and I'm looking forward to the fight. Can't wait for it. August 16th, UFC 319 in Chicago. I'll actually be there, so I'm hyped. If you guys want to let me know what you guys think in the comments below, I would love to know, you know, who you guys are picking, the reason why, maybe a breakdown, maybe things I missed too. You know, I'm pretty new to this kind of area of like breaking down fights. Even though I think I've done decently well, you know, there's things I'm not going to notice. And I'd always be interested if you noticed something else that I didn't. I would love to know. It'd be cool to break it down and read what you guys have to say. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.